When Beyonce released her latest album, Cowboy Carter, it sparked conversation about the history of country music and the exclusion of black artists.
And Beyonce, by no means the only one leading the charge to make country more inclusive. Tonight on the season finale of America in Black, CBS News correspondent Danya Bacchus sits down with 3 country artists who are working to open more doors to artists of color.
And Danya joins us now live with more of what she found. So when you were exploring this history, what did you find interesting, Danya?
You know, I found very interesting that though we are looking at Beyonce and she is the global superstar that started this conversation, when you look, black artists have been contributing to country music from the very beginning. And it really was America's racial politics that transformed the genre. What I found was that at the very beginning, black and white artists, other artists of color, all performed together. They wrote songs together. They had an influence on each other. But starting in the early 1930s, that's when we saw a divide in what was called hillbilly, which was considered white music, and then race records, which was considered black country music. But during that time, before that time, there were many contributions of black artists, and there have continued to be contributions from black artists who are moving the genre forward.
So interesting. So one of the artists you talked to about their experience was Mickey Guyton. Let's take a listen. We'll talk about it on the other side.
I've pulled from Brandy, I've pulled from CeCe Winans, I've pulled from Dolly Parton. I remember going into my label and I said, listen, I've learned to be comfortable in rooms full of people that don't look like me. Now it's your turn to learn to be comfortable in rooms full of people that don't look like you.
That's fascinating. How else did they get into their experience? What did they talk about, Danya?
They talked about how hard it was being the only one at times, and often walking into rooms with executives. Reese Palmer I spoke with told a story about how she was actually outside of the room as they were listening to her music, and then of course as soon as she stepped in, it was like, wait a minute, you know, you are not who we thought you would be, you don't look like who we thought you would be. And then they started to call into question the authenticity, the believability of black artists with country music radio listeners. So they talked about how they had to break down those barriers, and even now, even with Beyonce bringing so much attention to the genre, they still feel like they're breaking down barriers.
Well, Danya, I'm a big country music fan. I remember my mom and dad listening to Charlie Pride with Kissin' Angel Good Morning when I was a kid. So I'm looking forward to your report. We appreciate your time.
Yes.
And break down some stereotypes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you can watch the latest episode of America in Black. That's tonight, 10 o'clock on BET, on Paramount Plus, and streaming on CBS 24/7.